Hey, hi, hello. I'm Chelsea. Welcome back to my channel where we talk books. Somehow we are already in June. How it happened, I don't know. It feels like we were in winter and now it's almost summertime, and June means that we are halfway through the year. 6 months into the year. I just want to talk about the books I've read this year and so far, because I have read 28 books. My goal was 50, so I'm well on my way. And how I have read that many, even though I've been really busy with work and stuff, is not sponsored at all, but shout out to Spotify for helping me along my reading journey, because in Canada now we have audiobooks on Spotify, and that has really helped me read a lot more books than I think I would have had I not had that. So I have been listening to a lot more audiobooks than I had last year. I listened to a lot of audiobooks during the pandemic, and then once I went back to work and like was more busy, somehow I was reading more and listening to less books, which is weird, but that is how that goes. So for today's video, I'm just gonna talk about the books that I have read so far this year and whether I think you should read them, because I have read some duds and then I have also read some really good ones. But I don't want this, like 28 books is a lot, okay? I'm not gonna go into detail of each book. I've got my Goodreads open on my phone, so I'm just gonna be looking at my Goodreads and I'll tell you what I reviewed it and maybe like a one word of why and whether I think you should read it. So first book I read of the year was Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's a thriller slash horror, I guess, novel. I gave it 3 stars. I'm kind of thinking in my head that I think maybe 2.5 is more accurate. I did not really like this book. There were some weird, let me see what my review was. It's hard to wrap my head around this. I remember this book quite well. What was my review? Oh, I did give it 2.5 stars. And I said it was well paced and it's a quick read. However, there were some weird things in this book that were implied about liberals. This book weirdly felt a little political, even though it was a thriller, and there was no politics in this book. However, there were comments made about liberals that it was really off-putting and strange. And there was this, and I said in my review, there was a weird statement about transgender people. I don't know this author, but I think I do know his political stance, and that's what I will say about that. I didn't really enjoy it, and I don't really think you should read it. There we go. Next up, I read Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, maybe? I enjoyed this one more, but not by much. I had a rough start to the year, I think, book-wise. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it, but it was really slow paced. I wanted it to move faster and I got bored. So 3 stars, like, you know what? I'm not gonna not recommend it, but just go into it knowing it's a little slow. And that's what I'll say about that. I read The Inmate by Frida McFadden. I have read Frida McFadden books before. I've read quite a few of her books. She has suddenly become like the thriller author. She is the new Colleen Hoover, although without all the romance. There isn't really much romance in Frida McFadden books. It's more like thrillers, and then romance is a subplot of a lot of them. The Inmate, I gave it 3 stars because it was super predictable. I saw this book, I saw the twist, I saw the ending coming. So it was an okay read, but it was really predictable for me. which I feel like a lot of Frida McFadden books are for me. And I don't mind her books, but I'm not her #1 fan. Okay, next. So I read this around February, and I had an idea for a video of doing like a girl who hates romance reads romance and becomes a romance girly. I didn't, because I didn't like any of the romance books that I was reading. And I also just didn't have the time to make that video. So I didn't. But that is why coming up there are quite a few romance all in one after another. So we have The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. I'm not sure if that's how you say her name. This was really cringy. Honestly, I went into the library and I went to the romance section and I saw this book and the cover was red, and I was like, okay. And I picked it up and I read it without reading any of the reviews. And even if I had read the reviews, I don't think that would have helped me in this. I did not like this book at all. 2 stars. It was so cringy and unrealistic, and just no. Next, I have After by Anna Todd. I did a whole video on it. Not gonna say anything. 2 stars. Yeah, I had a really rough start to my reading year, but I have read a lot, and I've read better ones. Next, I read Happy Place, again, because I was reading a lot of romance at this point. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I didn't really like it. 3/2.5 stars. Emily Henry is not my favorite author, mainly because romance is not my favorite genre. And nothing against Emily Henry. I just, this book in particular, because I have liked some of her books in the past, I didn't like any of the characters, I didn't like the story, and I thought it was stupid. Hot take. Next, I read Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This was my first classic of the year. You know what? I went into it expecting like Greta Gerwig's Little Women, and that is not what this was, but that's okay. I still somewhat enjoyed it. I give it like a 3.5-ish, 4 stars. The writing was really beautiful. The story sometimes had me bored, I'll be honest, and I don't really like Jo as a character. I find her a little nauseating, but I liked the writing. The writing was good. Yeah, 3.5/4 stars. Next, I read The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding. This is a thriller, and I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was interesting, and I gave it 4 stars, I think. 4/3.5. 3.5. I would maybe say 4 now, because I've had some time to, you know, seep, and I still remember this book really well, so I would give it 4 stars. It was a good thriller. Yeah, I said it was pretty predictable, and I would stand by that claim. It was pretty predictable, but the reason I like this one more than Frida McFadden is I liked the writing a lot more. I thought the writing was much better. Sorry, Frida and everybody who loves you. I don't really understand the hype around Frida McFadden. I think her writing is a little juvenile. I said it. Sorry. I know people love Frida McFadden. Okay, next I read Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. I didn't know this was a Little Women retelling, and it was kind of hilarious that I picked this book up not knowing that, having pretty much just finished this book, or pretty much just finished Little Women. I thought this one was pretty good. If you liked Little Women, you would probably really like this book. I gave it 3 stars. It was pretty good. Oh boy. Next, we have my least favorite book of the year. I won't get into specifics because I think I've talked about it. And that is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I didn't like it at all. 1 star. Nope. Do not suggest you read it. Next, I read Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I gave it 3 stars. However, looking back, I think I would up it to like 3.5/4 because it's like, I'm still thinking about that book. There was a lot there, and it was a little slow, but I had a good time reading it, I think. So Our Wives Under the Sea, yeah, I thought it was really interesting concept, and I liked it. Next, I read The Flat Chair by Beth O'Leary. This is a romance, and I gave it 3 stars /2.5. I'm not really sure if it was 3 or 2.5. Wait, what did I give it? What? It says here I gave it 4 stars, but I did not like it that much, so I don't know why I would have. Oh, it says 3.5. I would give it like 3. Yeah. It was cute, but it was way too long, and there was a scene at the end that, like, I didn't really like how it ended. So yeah, 3 stars for sure. Not my favorite. Then I read The Idea of You by Robin Lee. But yeah, this is a romance. I seem to be in my my fanfic One Direction era, because this is the second One Direction fanfic I've read this year, which, why? I don't know. I'm drawn to Harry Styles fanfic apparently. The Idea of You just came out as a movie with Anne Hathaway and some British dude. I enjoyed the movie, kinda. I don't know, it wasn't that bad. And the book was okay. I give it 3 stars / maybe even 3.5. I liked it way better than After, and I felt like the ending was pretty realistic, although very different from the movie. I'll just say 2 very completely different endings, which is totally Hollywood. Leave it to Hollywood. And yeah, I did not hate that romance, so there's that. Next up, I read Kindred by Octavia Butler, and this was one of my favorites of the year. I give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was really good. Next, I read The Little Liar by Mitch Albom. This is a World War II historical fiction novel about a little boy and his family, and I really liked this one. This one was really good. I gave it 4 stars, and I would stick with that. It was a really well written story, and it was told from the perspective, like, if you liked what was that book, the book Thief, you would definitely like The Little Liar because it was very similar. Next, I read The Sympathizer by Vet Then something that I can't really pronounce, and I don't really want to butcher this person's name. 1 star. I didn't like it at all. Yeah, I didn't like it. I was so bored. I didn't care. The time switches were confusing as hell. 1 star, didn't like it. Okay, next I read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This was for my reading science fiction video thing that I did. I liked this one. 4 stars. Yeah, 3.5, 4 stars. Then I read, I listened to this one, audiobook, Beyond the Wand, The Magic and Mayhem of Growing Up a Wizard by Tom Felton. I liked this one. I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world. I've read all the books. I have not seen all the movies. However, if you are a huge Harry Potter fan, especially a big fan of the movies, read this book because you'll love it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good, and I'm not even a big fan. Then I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. 3 stars. It was It was okay. Not my favorite. Then I read, then I read Flawless by Elise Silver. I guess I was feeling some romance. I wanted a romance in my life. And this one is like very popular all over TikTok. It's like a cowboy romance. I liked that it was like based in Canada. It was like Canadian. It's Calgary romance. Not my least favorite romance I've ever read. I gave it 3 stars. I would say, yeah, 3, maybe 3.5. I liked the characters and it was well written. But romance is just, I don't know. I was feeling romance then and I didn't hate that one. So if you like romance, read that one because you'll probably love it. Next, I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. I really liked this one. 3/3.5 stars, I would say. 3.5, maybe. It was really interesting and I would recommend. Next, I read Funny Story by Emily Henry and I really liked it. Way more than Happy Place. I'm shocked. I'm just as shocked as everybody else. I give it 4 stars. It was really good. And you may be wondering, Chelsea, you just read Happy Place and you hated it or really didn't like it. Why would you read another Emily Henry book like 2 months later? And the answer to that is, I had seen everybody talking on social media about this book and how excited they were to read Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll just check out my library and see what the crazy wait is gonna be like for that book. And I went to my Libby app and I looked up the book and I was the first person to take out the book. And I was like, this is a sign. There were only 2 books available and none of them were taken out yet. Clearly the book had just become available. And I was like, this is a sign that I should do it. I should take out this book and read it. Sorry to all you Emily Henry fans who are waiting so long for the book. And I'm not a fan and I grabbed it when I could. But I did really enjoy it. I liked Funny Story by Emily Henry. Next, I read The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. It's a thriller. 3 stars. I liked it, I think. I'm losing my thriller enjoyment. They're becoming a little predictable for me. But the writing of that one was good. Am I gonna read the second one? I don't think I will. But 3 stars. It was alright. It was pretty good. Then I read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. And I understand the Jane Austen hype. The writing was beautiful. The story was beautiful. And I love Mr. Darcy. I knew I would like this one because I've seen the movie and with Keira Knightley and I love it. So 4 stars for Miss Jane Austen and Pride and Prejudice. The only thing I will say is that some of the language I was like, you know. And there was a word used often in that book. And I wonder if it was because that was like a popular word to use for the time. And that word was sensibility. That was used a lot. I think that was the word. Yeah. Anyway, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde is what I read next. 3.5/4 stars. I did really like this one. I thought it was a really interesting story. And Dorian Gray was a fascinating character, and I really liked the ending. So yeah, 4 stars for Mr. Oscar Wilde. Next, I read Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. This is a really small book, like under 100 pages, I think, or like right at 100 pages. You can totally read this one in one sitting. It's really quick, readable, beautifully written. I gave it 3.5/4 stars. It was really good. I enjoyed that one. Next, I listened to this one. It was called It Ended Badly, 13 of the Worst Breakups in History by Jennifer Wright. It's a nonfiction, and it's going through some of the worst historical famous breakups in history, sort of. There was a lot that wasn't touched on. Like, they didn't really get to most recent years, but they talked about like lots of different relationships, breakups, that is known throughout history, and a lot of the stories were really interesting and things that I didn't know, and like historical facts, and I had a good time reading it. I gave it 3 stars. The writing wasn't great, but I thought it was really interesting facts. I think it could have been better, and I think it's a really good idea for a podcast. If anybody out there is looking for a good idea for a podcast, the worst breakups in history, boom. If you're good at research and you find history interesting, boom, podcast idea. Take it and run, make your money, because I'm not doing it, but it's a really good idea for like a podcast or something. Next, this is a book that I just finished. It's called My Darling Girl by Jennifer McMahon. This is like a horror thriller book about a mother-daughter relationship. I enjoyed it. I thought there were some like creepy, spooky parts. It didn't give me nightmares. It's not something that I'm going to stay up late being like, oh my god, I can't stop thinking about that book. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. I think it'll make a really good movie or a mini series. I'm not sure if they're planning on doing one, but like this book would be perfect for that. It would be spooky. It would be a good, it has a lot of good mother-daughter themes, family themes. That did not feel like 28 books. Was it? Those are all the books I have that I guess it was. Yeah, that's it. Those are all the books I read this year so far. It's been a mixed bag of my reading year. I've had some really good ones, and I've had some ones that I have not liked at all. But that's kind of how it is, you know? So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed watching, please consider liking and maybe subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.